and last week I returned from a short-term mission experience to central Mexico. 3 years ago, I went to the little village of Progreso, Mexico for the first time. It was through this trip that the Lord began to open my eyes to missions, and He also knit my heart together with those from the church in this seemingly insignificant town. About a week later, after I returned home, I started praying that God would send me back. Summer of 2013, and God answered that prayer. And you, my church family, supported it. Both monetarily and prayerfully, you had my back, and I can't express to you how grateful I am for the opportunity or for what this trip meant to me. To everyone that supported me and especially prayed for me, thank you so much. And to Pastor Sargent, thank you for trusting me to go on my own. It really was an incredible experience, full of not only treasured memories, but unforgettable lessons. What I'm going to share with you guys tonight is barely scratching the surface of what the Lord did in my heart. And trust me, if you want to hear more, ask. Please ask. I have so many more pictures and videos and stories and lessons that I would have loved to cram in here tonight, but there just wasn't time. So first, have to make sure I get this right. Everybody from the Church of Progreso sends their greetings to everybody here. I had so many people come up to me and say, why aren't the other teens here? Why didn't they come? And but what was the sweetest was when sometimes somebody that I didn't even know, would come up to me and they'd ask about one of our teens by name. They'd ask how they were. They'd listen as I would give them the report, and then they'd say things like, I miss them. I'm praying for them. They're so special to me. Shortly after I returned home 3 years ago, I got news that one of the people that I had met, one of the younger teens, was not really following the Lord, and he didn't really have any desire to be involved in church. And I started praying for him, and for 3 years I had no clue what was going on, and I had no clue if he was totally fine or if he had stopped going to church or anything. I had no communication. I got there for this trip, and he was still there, and he sat down and he gave me his testimony, and it was incredible to hear the things that the Lord had done in his life between my 2 visits there. And he told me, he said, my dad prayed for me, and my family prayed for me, and you prayed for me. And thank you so much for praying for me, because God's not done with me. So to all of our teens, especially that have been to Progreso and that have made heart connections with the people down there, I'd encourage you, keep praying for the people there. I know communication is scarce, but these people, they're in the same battle that we are, and they need prayer just like we do. Real quickly, I'll go through our itinerary. I was traveling with Brother Bruce Martin and his wife Provi and their son David. This was my 3rd trip with the Martins, and they are a wealth of information. You just sit down and talk to Mrs. Martin for a while. Wow, she's been through so much and has so much knowledge. Really, that whole family does. I flew to Mexico City, and I met up with a boatload of teens from Lehigh Valley Baptist Church in Mays, Pennsylvania. It was great to be able to spend time with these kids and to get to know them personally. I was interrogated by them. You're Alyssa's friend, right? Yep, that's me. I didn't go as a technical chaperone on this trip. I was more of a tag-along, but I was able to help them minorly with cultural differences, if they had questions or whatever, just from things that I had learned on previous trips. And then I was able to help them a little bit with translation. Don't get excited, it really wasn't a lot. When you have teens coming up to you asking how to say hello in Spanish, then it's easy to help. Their group was led by the ever-capable Chris Gable, who we all know and love. He did a great job. This was his first time leading a youth trip down to a foreign country, and his care and love for his teams was so evident. It was great to be able to spend time with him. He was assisted by Mr. and Mrs. Wolf, who are also from Lehigh Valley, and I was in the same house with Mrs. Wolf, and she was a blessing. That couple was so special. Quickly, our itinerary, like I said, we flew into Mexico City, and we drove 5 hours to the southeast of Mexico City to Emmanuel Baptist Church in Progreso. And I thought I was going down for a missions conference. Turns out I was going down for a youth camp. And we were told that the kids were going to get to join in with the different teams for the camp. And I thought, oh, how nice, the kids get to join in. I wonder what I'm going to be doing. Well, I was told that you're on Team Red. So I got to join in with the camp games, and I got to be a camper, which they don't really care about age. We had like 40-year-olds that were campers, so whatever. If you want new camp games for the Kiesel, go to Mexico. They've got some good ones there. Lots and lots of mud. But I was able to also participate in a Spanish skit. One word, pandemonium. It was crazy, but they got the point across, so it worked out. One thing that I appreciate about the Church in Progreso is their incredible servant's heart. I looked around and I saw all the work that they had put into it, and they, for anybody that's been there, you know how much they put into hosting and everything. And I was like, wow, they must have been planning this for ages. And turns out they weren't planning on having a conference or anything this year, but they heard that a group of Americans were going to come down, so they just kind of threw it all together. And it was incredible. One of the last days there, they put together this feast for us in which they killed 5 goats and 2 sheep. And they had all of us Americans involved in the killing of the animals, which some were into and some weren't. But a little while later, after the meal was over and everything, I was talking to one of the guys who spoke English, and he was talking about how he likes animals. And he was like, I used to have a goat. And I was like, oh, wait. Alfredo, did we eat your goat? And then he was like, oh, no. See, I had a goat, and that goat had a baby, and I gave that baby goat to the church, and we ate that goat. Oh, Alfredo, we ate your baby goat. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. And he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, that's okay, I was going to eat it anyway. So they are willing to give all, including pets. But anyway, it was a blessing to be able to be in Progreso again and to be able to see the people work together, as well as play together and all that, and just get connected with them again. But it wasn't just fun and games. We had lots of preaching, both by Americans and by Mexicans, and even a little bit by Cubans. And it was, so some of it was English and some of it wasn't, but it was a blessing, and it was neat to be able to see the different messages that these men brought forth. So that was Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday we spent 2 hours away from Progreso in a suburb of Puebla City. The suburb's called Chichapa, and this is a mission work started by the church in Progreso. So we helped them put on special meetings. Several of the teens gave their testimonies, and they sang and things like that. And then Monday morning we packed up and we headed back to Mexico City for what I call educational sightseeing. Brother Martin is very good at knowing what to show people, not only for fun and interest, but to give us a better understanding of not only the Mexican culture, but also missions in general. And we stayed there until early Thursday morning and then headed home. While I was at the camp in Progresso, I was able to meet several missionaries and pastors, and I want to bring out some prayer points from just some of the men that I met. And I'd encourage you guys, I know a lot of you guys don't know these men and their families, but I'd encourage you, take one of these families and commit to pray for them this week. I was able to meet them and talk to some of them and hear about their ministries, and it was encouraging to see the work that they're putting into serving the Lord. So as I go through these, if there's one that just maybe pulls on your heartstrings a little bit, I'd encourage you to just jot that name down and pray for them. So first we have the Asensio family. This is a guy in the back there who you really can't see very well. That's the pastor at the church in Progresso, and this is his family. Their church has such a testimony, and they have a Bible Institute where they have they've trained so many people. And you look at their church, and their building isn't that nice, and they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but the Lord is using them in an incredible way. But the past couple of years have been really hard for this family. The Lord has just had a lot of different trials come into their lives, and it's been hard, but they are standing strong, and I encourage you to pray for them as they continue to serve the Lord. This is the mission work in Chichapa. These are the people that attend there. The people in blue are the ones that come over from Progresso every weekend. They leave on Saturday and then they don't come home until Sunday night. And this mission work is growing, it's doing really well, and they're hoping to organize in the next year or so. This is Brother Moises and his wife Lupe and their kids. The girls in our group stayed at their house. Brother Moises is in charge of another mission from their church, but this mission isn't doing very well. And there have been some problems that have come up within the body, and they're at the point now where they're trying to decide if they should close it down or if they should keep trying. But Brother Moises puts so much work into it, and he's so faithful, and he's just open to whatever it is that the Lord would have for them. And he does, it's not just a Sunday thing, it's a whole weekend thing, and sometimes he doesn't get home until Sunday night or Monday. But he has incredible dedication. This is Brother Marcos and his wife Rodit and their son Enoch. He is a pastor in Puebla City. I know that when I was there with the group 3 years ago, a lot of us spent a good amount of time with their family and their church. Brother Marcos is he had some problems come up in his ministry, and it's affecting his service, and then that is then affecting his family. And they're in the next couple of weeks they're going to have some important decisions to make concerning his ministry, and it really is it's hard for all of them. And anyway, they're a sweet and precious family, and I just pray that the devil won't get the victory here, but he's trying hard. Next, this is Brother Manuel. He was a pastor near Mexico City, but he handed his church over to another man, and he is preparing to go to Cuba as a missionary. And he will meet up with Brother Linnea, who is already in Cuba, and they'll work together in team ministry. Pray for this ministry as the two families mesh, and they make all the transitions there, as well as for Brother Manuel, as he has to move his family over there and all that. So those are just a few of the people. There were more pastors, more missionaries, but these are just a couple of them. I want to try and explain to you some of the things that the Lord taught me on this trip. Pastor told me, he said, you don't have a technical job on this trip, but just go and observe, see if you can be a blessing, and see what you can learn. And